Hello, today we're going to talk about the relations between Brazil and the United States. In 1824, the United States were the first country to recognize Brazilian independence, also recognizing the authority of the imperial rule. During the Empire of Brazil, which ranges from 1822 to 1889, relations with the United States were a little complicated due to incidents and changes. One of the main disagreements had to do with American pressure for free navigation in the Amazon River. Meanwhile, the United States started expanding to the west, annexing territories from Mexico and other countries, but mainly from Mexico. Brazilian government was afraid that the United States would bring settlers to the Amazon in order to later attach its territories, along the lines of what happened in Texas. In 1866, Brazilian government finally decreed the opening of the Amazon River to all countries, except for warships navigation. This happened when Brazil already had control over the region and means to enforce its sovereignty. After the American Civil War, which took place from 1861 to 1865, the United States started to grow faster. America became a trade partner of increasing relevance to Brazil, replacing the role Great Britain had been undertaking until then. Just to give you an example, around 1870, the United States imported 75% of all Brazilian coffee exports, its main exportation product. In 1876, Dom Pedro II visited the United States during 3 entire months. This mission abroad shows the major role of the relations with the United States. Brazilian conduct, however, would change completely just in 1889, when a coup d'etat implemented the Republic of Brazil. The Pan-American Conference was taking place in Washington and Brazilian delegation opposed American interests. After the coup, which happened along with the conference, the Brazilian representative was replaced by a new one that would agree with all American positions. During the First Brazilian Republic, also known as the Old Republic, there was a strong alliance with the United States. The flag and the name of the Brazilian state showed how the United States was considered a role model to Brazil. Brazil was named United States of Brazil, and its flag did resemble the American one. Baron of Rio Branco's chancellery from 1902 until 1912 was a period of close alliance between Brazil and the United States. American historian Bradford Burns first used the expression unwritten alliance to stress the close relation of Brazil and the United States at this time. American support was critical to solve Brazilian border disputes. On the other hand, during Vargas' period from 1930 to 1945, relations were marked by what historian Gerson Moura called pragmatic equidistance. Brazil maintained relations with both Germany and the United States at the same time. In 1935, for example, it signed a trade agreement with the United States, and right in the next year another one with Germany. In 1938, German trade shares surpassed that of the United States, becoming Brazilian main trade partner. Throughout the Second World War, however, relations with Germany shrank. The United States became a stronger partner again. Vargas negotiated Brazilian entry in the war in exchange for funds to build the steelmaker company Companhia Siderúrgica Nacional and to modernize Brazilian armed forces. By the end of the World War II, Brazil and the United States were so bound to each other that President Roosevelt openly supported Brazilian candidacy for a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council that was being established by then. With the end of the Second World War and the beginning of the Cold War, relations between Brazil and the United States got more complicated. The United States, engaged in a fight against communism in Europe and in Asia, neglected Latin America. Dutra's government, from 1946 to 1951, tried to ally with the United States by not recognizing Communist China in 1949, and even by breaking relations with the Soviet Union in 1947. Nevertheless, in 1950, Dutra's chancellor sent a memorandum to the American ambassador showing the disappointment of Brazilian government with the lack of American investments in Brazil. This memorandum became known as Frustration Memorandum. When Vargas came back to power in 1951, he tried, with no further results, to recover negotiated alignment, but Brazil no longer had the bargaining power like when Germany and the United States competed for its support. President Juscelino Kubitschek's mandate from 1956 to 1960 also tried to ally with the United States. Brazil supported the anti-communist riot in Hungary in 1956 and allowed the setup of an American military base to track rockets in Brazilian territory. American alignment with Brazil is not deemed satisfactory, though. President Kubitschek came up with the Pan American Operation, a program to develop Latin American countries with American aid, but President Eisenhower barely gave attention to it. When Jânio Quadros came to power in 1961, he founded the independent foreign policy, which struggled for Brazilian and stronger international autonomy. This policy raised concerns in the United States. They were afraid Brazil would go through a Cuban-like revolution, so they supported the military coup in Brazil in 1964. Right after the coup, Lyndon Johnson recognized the legitimacy of the military. Years later, people came to know that there was a task force of the United States Navy to ensure a successful coup, the so-called Brother Sam operation. During Brazilian dictatorship, which ranged from 1964 until 1985, the pattern of relations between Brazil and the United States varies. In the government of Castelo Branco, from 1964 to 1967, Brazil gets really close to the United States, even breaking diplomatic relations with Cuba in 1964. Chancellor Juraci Magalhães said that what is good to the United States is good to Brazil. After Castelo Branco, however, Brazil recovered more autonomy. In Médicis' government, for instance, Brazil increased its territorial waters from 12 to 200 nautical miles, causing some tension with the American government. During Geissel's presidency, Brazil broke a military agreement established with the United States in 1952. Figueiredo, the last military president, rejected the boycott to the 1980 Olympics in Moscow proposed by the American government due to Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. He also refused to make part of the economic embargo to the Soviet Union imposed by the United States. President Sarney reestablished relations with Cuba and supported Cuban readmission to the Organization of American States. During Sarney's government, approval of Computer Technology Bill tensioned relations between Brazil and the American government by protecting Brazilian national computer industry. In the 90s, both countries got closer again. Brazil adopted a neoliberal economic policy that pleased American interests. In the government of Fernando Henrique Cardoso, the Free Trade Area of the Americas was first negotiated, even though Brazilian Chancellor Celso Slapper had said Mercosur was a destiny, whereas the Free Trade Area was merely a possibility. In 2001, after the September 11 attacks, Brazil expressed solidarity with the United States. In the government of Lula da Silva, from 2003 until 2010, there is great confidence in the relations between both countries. Against the expectations, President Lula and President Bush got really close. Nevertheless, in 2009, China superseded the United States as the main trade partner of Brazil. Since 2011, under the government of Dilma Rousseff, Brazil has tried to keep a trust relationship with America. In 2011, Obama visited Brazil, and in 2012, Rousseff also visited the United States. In 2013, however, disclosed spying activities of the United States caused some tensions with the Brazilian government. In the United Nations General Assembly, Rousseff strongly criticized American espionage. Rousseff also canceled a scheduled travel to the United States, reinforcing its disagreement with the current American foreign policy. Other countries, such as Germany, joined Brazil in a campaign for a civilian multilateral framework for the Internet, but this matter is yet to be solved. This was a brief review of the Brazil-United States relations. If you enjoyed this video and enjoy international relations in general, please click the like button below and subscribe to Global Guide's channel to watch our next videos. See you!